Not to get too meta on you, but I have some serious choice words for some actual choice words that the former president has been using recently. It has been reported, and it's also on camera, that former President Trump has called Vice President Harris a bitch on multiple occasions. Okay, look, I'm so not surprised, of course. I mean, when we're all adults here, I'm sure he's actually used some adjectives that are even more beneath his former office, very much more beneath. I just wish that he would show a little more respect for his future president. Of course, it's not the first time we've gotten reports of him calling women bitches. He bestowed the title upon German Chancellor Angela Merkel as well. Honestly, it's a source of pride if he hurls this particular insult at you. I'm still waiting for it. So far, he's only called me no talent Samantha Bee. Oh, and as he continues to slip in the polls, I can't not smile when I say that. We should all be ready for the verbal escalation to come. He will lash out at whoever is nearest, and bitch might be the nicest and most coherent thing that he says. And this is my actual warning for the media all around us. You better call this behavior out like it is, or I'm going to have some choice words for you too. As you might have guessed, this is Choice Words. I'm Samantha Bee. My guest today is a different kind of former president, the good kind. Beloved actor Tony Goldwyn. You know Tony from TV shows like Scandal and films like Ghost, and he was on Full Frontal way back. And check out his new film, Ezra, and catch him soon on Law & Order. Until then, take a listen and make good choices.
Hi.
Hi, how are you? Great.
Good to see
Oh
you,
my gosh,
Sam.
so good to see you. So good to see you.
Yeah.
We have so much to talk about. You're doing so much stuff. Okay, and we're going to talk about it all, but I do want to ask you, because like the launch point of this, the axis point of this podcast is all about choices that you've made in your life. Can you think of, is there a choice? Like, first of all, are you good at making decisions? Are you like are you decisive? Are you just,
I used to be horrible at making
okay.
decisions.
Oh,
I would worry tremendously, like,
okay.
is this the right? What if this goes wrong?
Yeah.
I've gotten quite good at it because someone once said to me, successful people, however you define that, are not identified by the number of right decisions they make. It's by the number of decisions they make, and not
That's
being
so
decisive.
smart.
Isn't that a good one?
That's so good. I've never heard
So,
that
like,
before.
and I sort of came to realize maybe in my 20s that the most painful part of decision making is the time between when you get the idea, like, oh,
Mhm.
I have an impulse to make this choice, and then the time between that and when you actually take action by making that choice. The intervening time is like agony, and that used for me to be quite long.
Okay.
And I sort of have developed the discipline of going, oh, this feels like the right thing to do. Yeah, let's do that. A lot of times I'll make the wrong choice and have to suffer the consequences of going, oh man, I made that one a little too fast.
I could have dithered a little bit more.
I wish I dithered. Dithering has its benefits,
It does.
but
Do you give yourself like a time limit? Do you go, I'm going to make this decision? Because it's weird. I feel like also when you're in the arts, particularly, you're making creative decisions, but you're also there's no map for your career. Like, it's very much instinctive. You're kind of like, this, I'm going to go with my gut here. There's no like, you can't model your career really after anyone's career. You're so acting with your head and your heart, trying to like combine them. Do you give yourself a time limit? Do you go like, I will decide Monday morning, I shall inform my team that in fact, no, I will not be taking this project? Or you're just like, doing it?
No, I've never done it with a time limit. I'll have a gut instinct about something
Right.
and almost impulsively now go, that's what I'm doing. And I
Okay.
slow myself down a little bit now to
Okay.
go, wait, let me make sure I think about this.
Let me
Or
sleep on
do I
it.
want to get some advice? Or is there someone I want to talk to?
Right.
Yeah. So it's like, it's very much what you said, like listening to my instincts about something. Because sometimes I'll have an impulse to do something for maybe the wrong reasons. Like I'll have a
Right.
choice because I just want to get it done, or I want to please somebody, or I'm doing it for someone else, or I'm doing it because, for maybe the wrong reasons. So, or because I feel an obligation or something.
Right.
So I kind of go, okay, well, let's just take a look at what that impulse is
Right.
to make this decision and what are the consequences of it. And then I kind of go through a pretty rapid analysis and then go, well, just jump, just do it.
Just do it. Who's your best sounding board? Is it your wife? Dude, or are you just
Yeah.
like, let's talk it through?
Yeah, my
Okay.
wife.
Three.
My
Yeah.
wife.
And then,
Not always.
mhm,
We don't always agree.
sure.
So she'll go, why would you do that?
You
And
know you
I'll
don't want
sometimes go,
to.
well, yeah, or I'll disagree with her. Go, well, this is what I'm doing. But
Right.
yeah, I find Jane is the most sane and grounded person I know.
Right.
So she often
Right.
has really good instincts, and sometimes we have different perspectives, and I'll go,
Right.
yeah, I hear you what you're saying, but this is what I'm doing.
Sometimes I'll want to say yes to something, and then I'll talk it through with my husband, and we're disagreeing about it. And he's like, "Look, I just like," he's like, "I know in your heart that you don't want to do it, and I don't really want to live with you being miserable the whole time. And I know you're just going to be so, you're just going to be so sad that you said yes for so
Right.
long, and it's so unfun. And it's the summer. Can you just say no for us?"
Mm.
I'm like, "That's fair. That's very fair."
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have the same, and I do the same for her. A lot of
Yeah.
times, Jane sometimes tends to, she would take one project after another.
Oh,
She's a scenic designer for movies. She's a production designer,
right. Hmm.
and she loves to work and she loves her crews and she loves the thing, but she was getting a little burned out. And
Okay.
so she'd say, "Oh, I just got offered this movie," and I would do what your husband says. Are you really sure you want to do this? Because remember
Right.
how last time you said I will never do this,
Yes.
and somebody's just
Yeah.
like, "Yeah, I just like to complain." And sometimes she'll say, "Yeah, you're right. I'm just going to let this one go," or she'll say, "No, I'm doing it." And but
Right. Then she's like, "No, you'll
yeah,
be fine. Everyone's going to survive."
yeah,
She's like, "I won't, I
yeah.
don't have time to read a book this summer. I'm working. I'm making a movie." Is there a choice that you can think of as you look back at your life that surprised you in a way, was something unexpected, or like just changed your life in a way that really mattered? Even if it was a small decision at the time
Hmm.
that actually turned into something so huge.
So many. There's so many, choices. But in terms of my career, there was one moment where I made a decision. It was pretty early on in my career when I had my first experience of being in a big success. I was in
Okay.
Ghost, which was my first like big breakout role in a movie.
Huge.
And the
Yes.
movie opened and it was like a surprise giant hit. No
Yeah.
one really realized it was going to be successful, and it was a huge hit. And at the same time, I had done a play in Williamstown, which is the summer theater festival
Hmm.
that I'd worked at a lot. And the play was going to move to New York. And it was a smaller off-Broadway play. And I really loved the role, and they wanted me to come and do it in New York. And it
Hmm.
was when Ghost was blowing up, and I was getting a lot of advice like, you should move to LA and,
Okay.
take advantage of this and
Yeah.
be in the scene. And being in the kind of like scene had
Hmm.
never appealed to me. I never felt like that was my vibe, and so I made a decision. No, I'm an actor. This is a great role. I'm going to do this little play in New York. And so I made a decision to do that. And I think there wasn't like huge consequences to it, but it defined my life in a way in terms of
Right.
the play was a big success, actually. Uh, it was,
What was
I
it?
got like an Obie Award for doing it. It was called The Sum of Us. It was this Australian play, and we did it at the
Okay.
Cherry Lane Theatre, and it was about it was set in Melbourne, Australia. And it was about a guy and his father who lived together, and the son was gay,
Okay.
and his father was extremely accepting of his sexuality. And this was in the 80s. We did it was like
Right.
1990 when we did it in New York, but the play was written in the 80s. at a time when that was rather unusual that a father
Right.
would be fully. And the story was that the father and son are very kind of codependent, and they live in a pretty macho society, and no one can accept the fact that
Right.
they have such an easy relationship about the son's homosexuality. Both the women the father's involved with, because his mother's dead, and the men that the son is trying to get involved with can't deal with the fact that his dad is so cool with him being gay. So both have trouble finding love in their life, and yet they have this
Okay.
deep relationship. It was a very beautiful
Hmm.
play, and it was at a time when, honestly, when I got a lot of people telling me, "Are you sure you want to play a gay character?" You know, at the time when like you're like becoming like well known, and like, "Are
Right.
you sure you want to do that?" Because that, I was like, "What?" Um, so I just that wasn't a big consideration. That I said yes, but it made our life more on the East Coast, and I kind of opted out of kind of getting in the Hollywood scene and going to all the Hollywood parties and just chasing, Hollywood career when Ghost was. And I don't know if that was smart or stupid. It ultimately was smart because it was something that was who I was. So
Yeah.
maybe it may have taken me a little more, may have slowed down my trajectory a little bit, I guess. But
Hmm.
I would say that was a defining
That's a
choice.
great, yes, that's a
Yeah,
great decision. That's a beautiful decision to look back on. I feel like knowing where you're going to put your roots down and being firm about who you are. I mean, it's kind of hard to come by. It's a lot of
yeah,
pressure. Like there is when you have a success like I mean, there's people put the gears to you. I imagine that your whole team kept trying to convince you to move. I bet they tried to convince you to move to LA so many times.
yeah. They did. My team and I'm from a showbiz family, so there
Right.
was a lot. My dad was very concerned. He's like,
Right.
"What?
Right.
You finally have
Right.
made it now, and now you're going to do what? Like we lived in Hoboken, I lived in
Right.
Hoboken, and when I was doing this play at the Cherry Lane Theater, my dad, in terms, he was super proud of me, and he came to opening night and all that, but it just made no sense. He goes, "You should move to LA now." I'm like,
Right.
what are you doing? And for a few years there, he was really. Uh, I think he couldn't understand it. I don't think,
Right.
it kind
I
of
feel
freaked
like,
him out.
but don't you think there's something so good about because we as a family also made the decision to stay on the East Coast, and it was like we thought about it for years, and we were like, what is the cost? Like, what are the
Mm.
benefits? Like, what should we do? And then we were like, no, 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 no. East Coast, we'll just, if we have to go out there, you can always go out there. It's not like it's not available to you to go out there and film and do what you need to do. And then you just come home to a place where it's very grounded. There's a lot of friction when you live in New York, and friction is
Yeah,
good.
no, I honestly am so grateful because I feel like it wasn't who I was. It's just some
Right,
people make that choice and that's a great thing for them. I don't like, who knows? You can't read the tea leaves of what's the
right.
counterfactual of what would have been. But for me, it was who I was.
Yeah,
And even if it slowed down the trajectory of my acting career, in other words, I wasn't out in LA chasing,
sure.
going to the parties and chasing,
Yeah.
and meeting, whatever it was, what actually happened for me, because we made our life here,
Hmm.
which was a great thing for our kids, are the lifestyle that we have lived, and you and I live near each other. It's an
Yeah.
amazing place to be.
Hmm.
It allowed me to keep working in the theater, and maybe most significantly for me, I experienced being in a huge hit, having all this success, and being like super hot for the first time.
Right,
And then a couple of years later, the next film I did didn't do so well. It wasn't so great. And
right.
suddenly I became less hot. And I was there living in Hoboken going, wait, what happened? What's going on? How does this work? I thought I did everything I was supposed to do. Like I was in a hit movie. I did this play. I won these awards. Like, why isn't Hollywood coming to court? But
Sure.
dealing with that struggle, I was thankfully continuing to work and to be able to, I was sort of on the map, but it wasn't what I thought was supposed to happen. But that struggle that I suddenly didn't anticipate
Hmm.
forced me into a position where I was like, well, I don't want to be like spending my whole career waiting by the phone thinking, well, allowing, we'll call it Hollywood, allowing the industry, allowing other people to sort of decide my fate.
Right.
based on the box office of whatever last project I had done. So I was like, well, I need to get a hold of this and take control somehow
Right.
and figure out how to have some agency over my creative life. And that
Right.
led me to directing because I kind of thought like, I'm just going to be an actor. I'm not going to just be an actor sitting by the phone waiting for somebody to give me a job. That's how I started looking for material to create my own stuff, and that led to me. It took a few years, but that led to me directing my first film, and that opened up a whole like world to me where I thought, oh wow, I can do all of it, and discovering aspects of myself that I never would have achieved. So perhaps, look, who knows? I may have gone to LA and been unemployed for 10 years. I don't know, but if I had, even if I'd gone and that was, like my father thought I should be in the mix and getting in the stream. If it suddenly become a big movie star from that, I don't know that I would have
Done.
been
Yeah.
forced to discover this other part of myself. That was awesome.
That makes a ton of sense to me. There is something like grounding about an East Coast life where you're like, oh wait, when you look out the door, life is happening. Like it's
Yeah.
lively. There's all kinds of people doing all kinds of different jobs, and it's high and it's low, and it's like it's so scattershot and kind of wild all the time. And you're on the subway, and it's like sometimes it's incredible, and sometimes it's the worst experience of your life. And you're like, and
Hmm.
it kind of contributes to the stew of creativity. I think it keeps you very sharp. I think it keeps you
I
very sharp,
totally agree. Totally agree.
and
Yeah.
it forces you to do better and be creative all the time. Otherwise, you don't have that experience of only meeting people who are in your industry all the time, just doing kind of like the same thing, and all your friends are trying to get the same job you're trying to get, and you're all reading the same scripts. It's like totally different. It's a different vibe. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I find that it forces you to look to yourself
Yes.
like you said, do things your way because people are doing so many different things, so many different ways. And
Yeah.
there isn't as you said, in the creative field, there's no template for the way it's done. There are
Mhm.
conventions. And a lot of times what people do, which thank God, as painful as it was at times, I sort of seem to have avoided is repeating yourself. In other words, you have
Right.
success at one thing, then everyone wants you to do that thing. They're like, oh, that's what you do. Okay, cool. So, and
Yeah.
we all do that to some degree, but I find that the East Coast life forces you to reinvent a lot. And they go, yeah,
Yes.
people aren't as entranced by that. They're not, they find that a little boring or something. I don't know, as opposed to fitting you into commoditizing you.
Totally.
In our business, I think LA is an amazing city and but it's a town of commerce.
Yes.
So the industry is commodified. So then by definition, people go, okay, so what sells? So that sells. So it's package that up and do that. And that's what that is. Whereas New York has I don't know, the East Coast I find doesn't, it's not as natural to do that. Does that make sense?
It totally makes sense to me. We used to say this all the time when we were making Full Frontal, that it was like the
Hmm.
key to making it was dynamic variance. I was like, dynamic variance. Like, I don't want to stay in one place too. I don't want to do one thing forever. Like, let's mix it up. Like, let's do 7 minutes on this, and then we move this way, and then we're going to go out in the world, and like, just like mixing it up. You get to mix it up.
Yeah.
So when we met, you did something for Full Frontal. You came on our bus tour.
Hmm.
I put my face on the side of the bus. You were so generous with your time. It was so kind of you to spend the day with us. Do
I was the
you
bus
are
driver.
You're the bus driver? Of course. You do so many jobs. You drive buses. You are a director. Are you so, God, we have to talk about the election a little bit because, like,
Hmm.
wow, when you're a celebrity, I do believe, like, we should use it for good. Like, you have this platform, got to use it for good. Like, not necessarily Kid Rock. I'm not sure he's really doing anything special, but I actually think that you do an incredible job with your platform when it comes to
Oh,
like
thanks.
voting and being involved in elections. How did that evolve for you? Is politics a totally natural fit for you, or did you kind of stumble into it? Is it because you played a president on TV and you were like, wait a minute, people keep thinking I'm the president?
That was sort of part of it. No, it was a couple of things. I'd always been really fascinated with politics.
Yeah.
My parents were super engaged. I grew up. vivid memories at 12 years of watching the Watergate hearings. I was like 11 and
Right.
12 years old. So, and I was a little young during the Vietnam War, but the movement in the 60s was a part of my early childhood.
Hmm.
And then going through the politics of the 70s was just insane. So I always found
Right.
it fascinating, but I didn't see any way to get involved myself when I was younger. The involvement for me came more when I first experienced celebrity. Um, honestly, with Ghost,
Yeah.
I was kind of uncomfortable with it. It felt a little bit fraudulent to me. I
Sure.
thought, I'm an actor, and sure, that's great, and I know that's part of success, but I really am. I don't. This feels unwarranted.
Right. Like,
I
oh,
wasn't quite sure what to do with it.
because
You
everyone
know,
wants to know your opinion. They all want to know, like,
your
what you think.
opinion, and
Hmm.
it felt shallow to me. Yeah,
Sure.
and I thought, honestly, I was like, well, what do I have to contribute? I just want to kind of like do my thing, and if things are successful, great. But I wasn't sure how to manage it. At the same
Hmm.
time, my father was very involved, in service, and
Right.
both of my parents, service and making a part of your life, making a contribution to the nonprofit world, and I don't just
Right.
mean financial, but engaging in service, community
Right.
service of some sort was important, and I couldn't figure out how to do that myself. So then suddenly with celebrity, I splashed around for about 10 years trying to figure out, well, how can I contribute, or what can I get involved with, and how can I be involved. And so it took me a while, but I started to find things organically that meant
Hmm.
something to me. So it was in combination. So then I found certain causes
Right.
and organizations that I thought, wow, I really want to promote these and help them. And politics became a natural extension of that. Like, part of it was like lobbying on Capitol Hill
Right.
for arts funding. I got very involved in criminal justice reform,
Right.
and ended up getting involved with the Innocence Project. And
Yes.
so different organizations I started to care a lot about, and realizing there was a connection because lawmakers are the ones that influence those things. And then got fascinated, well before Scandal, got fascinated with politics, and would be, like I said, interacting with lawmakers, and then going
Right.
to the Democratic convention and
Yeah.
even the Republican convention to try and advocate for issues that mattered to me on behalf of the organizations I was involved with. And then, whatever, in 2011 or 2012, whenever it was, I get cast as the president. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, hilariously, people start looking to me like I have some authoritative voice, which just slayed me. I thought it was hilarious. I'd go, and people took me seriously. It was ridiculous. But I even, Scandal was this phenomenon at the time.
Yeah.
And you'd go to Washington, and people like wanted you to show up at their event. You'd go to the White House, people want. So then I thought, oh, I can really have an impact here. So I got more engaged then. And honestly, following the example, seeing, what an incredible activist Kerry Washington is.
Yeah.
Kerry is really,
She's great.
she's
She's
incredible. She's
incredible.
so brilliant and so intentional and purposeful, and is such an
Yeah.
incredible. If she wasn't an actress, she would be an community organizer. I mean, she
Oh,
really is
she should run for
mind blowing. So I
office.
learned a lot from Carrie, and to this day, still in this election cycle,
Yeah.
she's my she's my sort of guru in a way. She really were very involved in this. Now the Harris campaign, but when it was the Biden campaign, and when we were all in despair of, oh my God, the world is ending. So what are we going to do?
I
you
know.
know.
I
And
know.
then 2 weeks ago, it all seems to have changed. So
Kerry Washington should 100% run for office, and you 100% should be on her ticket with the, I don't know, kind of, so, but isn't it so? I mean, can you believe how fast the world changed?
oh
Oh
my
my
God.
God, the last 2 weeks, or however many weeks it's been, I don't even know how many days it's been, have been incredible. I mean, there is such excitement, but there was, it's a newly exciting moment again because 2016 was pretty damn exciting, but it feels so refreshed. How does this feeling compare to that feeling? Obviously, that one didn't really turn out, but I have high hopes. Isn't it nice to
Hmm.
feel like,
This felt more to me like '08. I remember being at the Democratic convention of '08,
Yeah.
And there was this sense of
Yes.
excitement in the
Yeah.
air, and of a man who, had found his moment.
Yes.
Now, granted, that was a long primary battle.
Hmm.
Um, and a lot of people, myself included, initially, I saw Obama speak. I was at the Democratic Convention in '04,
Yes.
and Jane and I were like on the floor of the convention, and this guy walked out who I'd never heard of. And
Yeah.
they said, the senator from Illinois, Barack Obama, and he
Yeah.
spoke. And I was like, that's the guy. Who is that?
Who
And he
the
gave that amazing
hell?
speech. But even when at the beginning of that primary, I was like, well, I'm not sure he has the experience. He's so new. Like, can he do it? And
Right.
I thought I admired Hillary for a long time, so that was a moment. Then 2016, we thought, okay, now this is, the first woman president. That was terribly exciting, as you say.
Hmm.
And, it didn't work out that way. And that
No.
was, rather
I
traumatic.
I rather
But,
traumatic. I do.
you
I
know,
agree with you. This does feel like '08. Like I remember that feel. I'm sure you remember this too. Just being at the convention in '08, and then when
hmm,
he spoke, when he gave the kind of like the big final speech in '08, just I can remember where I was because it
me
was
too.
great, and how quiet it was because
Hmm,
everyone was watching, like
right.
everyone. It was really a moment, just a
Hmm.
shared experience with thousands and thousands of people where we were just like laser focused on the speech. Everyone in the building. It was great.
I was there
Oh,
with I brought my daughter, Anna.
oh,
She had turned 18 that year.
oh
And
my
so it was her first time
gosh.
voting. And I was like, we're
Oh,
going to the convention together. And it was a transformative experience for her. And
yeah.
this year, I'm going to go, I'll be in Chicago, and I'm bringing my
Oh,
younger daughter, Tess, and her boyfriend are going to come with me.
oh my
So
God. That's so
that'll be cool.
exciting. That's so
Yeah,
much
yeah.
fun. My daughter's voting. She's voting for the first time in this election, and I can't wait to go with her. Like, I just
Are you
cannot
going to Chicago
wait.
with her?
We're
Or are
not
you
going
going
to
to just go vote
Chicago.
with
We're
her?
just going to go
Oh,
vote. We'll just go vote.
yeah.
I mean, oh my God, I can't wait. Okay, so well, tell me about the Innocence Project because they do incredible work. So
Yeah.
you're on the board for them?
Yeah,
You're
I'm
on
on the
their
board of
board?
the Institute. I made a
Okay.
film, God, now 14 years ago,
Hmm.
called Conviction, which was based on an Innocence Project case where a true story of a woman in Massachusetts whose brother was convicted of murder and
Okay.
spent 18 and a half years in prison for a murder he did not commit. And they were, uneducated. Well, neither of them finished high school, and
Yeah.
he'd been in trouble his whole life. And she was the only person who believed her brother was innocent. And she said, I'm going to get you out. If you stay alive, I will get you out. And she got her GED, went to college, put herself through law school, became an attorney just to try and get her brother out. She succeeded. And with the help of the Innocence Project, got Kenny out. And so we made this movie with Hilary Swank and Sam Rockwell. So I got involved with the Innocence Project because they are the organization, Barry Scheck and Peter Neufeld, these two incredible civil rights attorneys who pioneered the use of DNA to prove innocence. And,
Hmm.
they started it, I think, '89 was that when it started. They formed this organization, and it started out with using DNA to
Right.
prove someone's innocent, and now it's expanded. They've exonerated hundreds of people, and there's a network across the country and really across the world of innocence organizations. And now they've moved into not only non-DNA cases, they're at the forefront of criminal justice reform in
Right.
this country, so that to prevent people from being wrongfully convicted in the first place. So, that we have a policy department that goes, changing laws around the country, and trying to, promote prosecutors who are not just
Right.
have a knee jerk propensity to just convict, 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 but really looking at the conduct and the incentives in both police departments, and getting police and prosecutors on the side of actual justice, as opposed to you know just putting people away
Right.
because that's the incentive.
The act of getting into law school, attending law school, becoming a full lawyer so that you can fight for your brother is unbelievable to me. That is a long
It's an
game.
incredible story. She's an amazing woman, Betty Ann Waters, who it's based on.
Whew.
And by the way, she had no interest in being a lawyer. She got Kenny
Ah,
out. and she never practiced law. She did not want. She became an advocate for the Innocence Project and for other people, and helped on
Okay.
other people's cases who'd been wrongfully convicted. But
Okay.
she's a mom. She has three, two kids, and she just
Oh my God. She doesn't
she now
even
she's a
practice
grandma,
law.
and no, she had no interest. She wanted to get her brother out. And yes, it's a great story.
Oh my
Check out
God.
the movie, people.
Check out
Available on
that
Amazon
movie.
or Netflix or something.
Okay, you have joined Law and Order. How many times?
I
Okay,
have, right?
before you must have been in the Law and Order universe multiple times before like joining as like a regular cast member, right? How many times were you on?
Twice I was involved. I
Okay,
directed an episode of Law and Order, I
okay,
think in 2006.
okay,
And then I was on I was on an airplane with Vincent D'Onofrio, and he was like,
great.
"Hey man, we're creating a character of my brother on Law and Order Criminal Intent. Would
Uh-huh.
you play my brother?" So I said, "Sure." So I did 4 episodes as Vincent's brother
Okay,
in Criminal Intent as well. That's my Law and Order universe
okay.
experience. But now
Now
Sam
you're,
Waterston retired
I
this past
know.
season, so I took over for him.
Oh my God, you
Yeah.
can franchise this like world. You're building a new universe. It could go on forever. You can't ever stop.
We'll see. We never. Who knows? You have no guarantees in in our life. But yeah, I'm doing it now, and it's really fun. And it's a New York institution. It really
It
is.
is. It feels so
Yeah.
right to me. I mean, have we all, like, it is an institution. I feel like I was 18 years ago, like, pregnant, laying on the couch, watching reruns of Law and Order that I'd already seen
Right.
probably 10 times. Like, it's just like a part of, it's almost in my bones. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. And people are so. I did not appreciate how much people loved that show. Like I thought I had had such a positive experience working on the show years ago, and I
Right.
thought that sounds really fun. I can be home, and they created this interesting character for me. And Sam, of course, is one of my heroes and someone
Yep.
whose shoes I thought, well, those are big shoes to step into. So, but I thought I don't know if anyone still watches Law and Order. I mean, it's been
Yeah,
on for
no,
30
they
years.
do.
So, or season 24, I took a bit of a hiatus with the current version we're doing now.
Hmm.
It ended in 2012 and then resumed a few years ago. Came back, but as soon as it was announced that I was doing it, I got floods, maybe more than anything I've
Oh,
ever
yeah.
done, floods of emails and people so excited about it.
Oh,
And,
floods. More
people love it.
people, yeah, more people reach out to you. I did one episode one time and for some reason, like wardrobe wise, I had a hat and the more people texted me and they were like, "What's with the hat?" I'm like, "I didn't choose it. It's not my fault. If you like the hat, great. And if you don't like the hat, I'm sorry." But now that you're a district attorney, everyone's going to ask you for advice in that arena, just like they ask you for, because,
Presidential advice,
presidential
right? Yeah.
advice. Like as a former POTUS, what should Joe Biden do starting January 2025? I mean,
Right. Exactly. I'm the one to ask.
You're the one to ask. What's your stance on rewatching things you've done? I know there's a big scandal rewatch podcast.
I don't really. I don't have an aversion to it.
Hmm.
When I do rewatch stuff, I always go, "Oh, that was fun and amusing, or terrible, or
Right.
something." But
Right.
I
Right.
don't have neurosis about it. I
Mhm.
just don't. Once I've finished something,
Yeah.
I'll watch it if I'm promoting it. Because I have to promote. I want to know. Or sometimes I'll
Yeah.
watch. I want to know how it turned out. I don't even necessarily. I've seen some of the Law and Orders that we did. Because we did. I was in the final 7 episodes of last season,
Okay.
and I think I watched a couple of them. One of them I did. My
Right.
daughter Tess played my daughter in the season finale.
Oh, that's fun.
So that was super fun.
That's
So I
fun.
did watch that. That was really fun. But yeah, I don't. I'm not a. Once I do the work,
Yeah, you're like, I
that I
did the
try and
thing.
put my attention on. That's it. I did the thing. That's over and done
Yeah.
with. So
But when you direct a film, like, okay, you direct, Ezra came out last in 2023. When
no,
did Ezra
24.
come?
It came out just
When
in
did
May
Ezra come out?
31st. Yeah,
Oh,
Ezra
it
came out
just came
May
out.
31st. Yeah, it just came out.
Okay,
In
tell
fact,
me about
it's
Ezra.
now. That's okay. Yeah, Ezra just on demand now. It's like
Oh, it's on demand. Okay.
it's on demand
Okay.
now. But it was it may still be in movie theaters and places. But it was out. Yeah, it's been out for a couple of
Okay.
months. Hmm.
Okay. But
Hmm.
when you direct a movie such as Ezra, you have to watch it 10,000 times. So you're in
10,000
the
times.
edit, you're just 10,000 times. So you are poring over every minute of it. Do you love that part? Do you love post-production?
I do. It's really, it can be stressful at times. It's
Yeah.
magical at times.
Yeah.
It's exhausting at times. Some of them go, I cannot watch this movie one
I
more
can't,
time.
I don't,
But
I,
you
right.
do. I mean, I guess it's like rewriting a book or something. You just constantly pour over it to try and find it remains a fluid thing until you just are. You go, okay, now it's cooked. It's done. We
Right.
got
It's
it
good.
right. Let's
I can't.
leave it. Let it go. But it's a fascinating experience. You're always, when you're watching it over and over and over and over again, you're
Right.
watching it with your attention on some certain element. You know what I mean? And then you go,
Right.
okay, we solved that problem. On to the next one. Now let's watch it again to watch this other problem, whether it's
Right.
finding the rough shape of it initially or finding a certain music cue and refining that, or,
Right.
you know what I mean? Or trimming it down for some.
Right. Like
Once I've,
you pull one little thread and then you're like, "Oh no, I just undid a whole
exactly,
now this next scene doesn't make any sense. I have to go
exactly,
back." And oh,
exactly.
so it was written by is it based on the life of a friend of yours?
Yeah. So my
Okay.
oldest and best friend in the world, Tony Spiridakis,
Yeah.
we met as young actors like over 40 years ago.
Oh wow.
Tony became a screenwriter, and Tony has an autistic son named
Uh-huh.
Dimitri. And, we've been like in each other's family. We're basically family, our families,
Right.
and they went through a real odyssey when Dimitri was diagnosed with autism, particularly when he was approaching puberty at like 11, 12 years
Okay.
old. And Tony wanted to write a movie about it. And so I had read many drafts of the script over the years just as a friend because we often share each other's work. And a
Sure.
couple of years ago, Tony called me and he said, I rewrote that script. Would you take a look at it just to get some notes? And I read it and I was like, dude, we need to do this together. I was kind of looking for a movie to direct, but it just something hit me. I said, this is the moment. And I thought to myself, what an incredible thing to do for my best friend, like to get his story made. It's so hard getting independent movies made. Like it's almost impossible. So
So
I thought,
so
if
hard.
we can do this, who knows if something's successful or not, but if we can do it, like what a great thing for our friendship, this 43-year friendship. Tony was the best man at Jane's my wedding. I've been the best, he's
Oh,
introduced me to Jane, actually, my wife, and he's my older daughter's
wow.
godfather. I'm godfather to his oldest kid. And so, we worked on the script for another year, and then then it kind of came together. We put this amazing cast together of Bobby Cannavale and Robert De Niro and Rose Byrne and this amazing young autistic actor named William Fitzgerald, who plays Ezra, and
Right.
Vera Farmiga and Rainn Wilson and Whoopi Goldberg are in it. And
Oh
again,
my
it all just like
God.
came together pretty quickly, and we made it last year, and yeah, it came out this year. So
This
it was
cast is
really a magical experience.
incredible. That is an
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
incredible cast. So, okay, so was he on set with you every day? Like, how much were you collaborating with your friend? Did he write the script
Yeah,
and kind of
every
walk
minute.
away, or he was just every minute you
No,
were
no, 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 no.
together? That's
First of
so
all, as a
special.
director, I've always really insisted that the writer of the screenplay is with me at all times, which is
Okay.
sometimes anathema in Hollywood because studios and producers sometimes get very anxious about a writer being around. They find
Yeah.
them intrusive, which makes no sense to me. I always give that's my
Yeah.
primary partnership.
Right.
So I said to Tony when we do this, so we are locked. It's his story essentially.
Right.
So I was like, well, you and I are joined at the hip. And I said,
Yeah.
we're producing it together. And we brought on partners, and we have amazing producers who really helped us pull the movie together. But, I said, Tony Spiridakis is anything I'm doing, he's by my side. So he
Right.
was more than any other writer I've ever worked. He was on every location scout. He was just with me the whole time. So
That's amazing.
we were besties throughout. And not, in the cutting room, there were times, it was, look, I'm the director. It was my decision, was final. But,
Hmm.
and he wasn't in the cutting room every day, but every
Sure.
couple of weeks I'd go, I need you to look at this. And I'd show him something so he was my closest collaborator.
Wow. And how long did you take? Like, okay, from the time that you read the script that you loved and you were like, okay,
Hmm.
we're going to try to make this. How long did it take you to assemble all the financing and assemble the whole team? And did you
Yeah,
find the cast
I can tell you
first and kind
exactly.
of
So
build the,
it was, it was unusually fast, actually. As
uh-huh,
these things go, people might be shocked to hear how long it takes to make a movie. Conviction took
yeah,
me 10 years to get made. But
right,
my first one, A Walk on the Moon, was like 4 years to get made. This
right,
one, I read it. in the winter of 2020,
Okay.
right before the pandemic. We worked on the script for most of that year during the pandemic.
Okay.
In the fall of 2021, I called Bobby Cannavale and I said, "Look, I have this script. What do you?" I wanted to, we decided that Bobby would be the right person to play Max, the
Right.
protagonist, the father. And Bobby said yes. Then we kind of, took a couple of months to do some readings and get some more notes, and he had some more thoughts on it. Basically, a year later, called up Robert De Niro's agent, who was an old friend of mine, and said, Bob is our first choice, and I think this project. And the agent was like, this might really interest Bob. And literally in 3 days, I was told, Bob wants to sit down and talk to you. And I was shocked because usually with movie stars, it
Wow.
takes months to get them to even
Months.
read something.
Oh, yeah. If
So,
they ever read
and
it.
then Bob had some notes about the character of the grandfather that he's playing. And, but he had an availability window. And Josh, his agent, was like, look, if Bob says yes, here's when you have to shoot this movie because this is when he's available. And that was amazing. So, we addressed his notes, and, another month or so later, he said yes. So that was the beginning of May of 2022. So it had been a little bit over a year. And then suddenly we had Robert De Niro and Bobby Conway attached, and we had dates in the fall we had to shoot. So we
Right.
had to go. And so then we brought on producing partners and these amazing two producers, John Killick and Bill Horberg, who went out and helped us. We'd already been working on the financing, but they helped pull it together because
Yeah.
that's not my area of expertise. So basically, we shot it in September, October of 22. Then we edited it all through 23, and it came out in the what year are we in?
2020, I think 2024.
2024.
Don't quote me.
So yeah,
I
the end of May 2024. So it was basically a little bit over a 2-year process, which is incredibly
two
fast for
two
movies.
years to make a movie. People think that
Yeah,
things go very fast, but 2 years to get a movie like made is like that's like turbocharged.
yeah,
That
it's
is like
turbocharged.
that's a rocket ship. That's
Yeah, but
incredible.
Tony was working on the script for 10 years, so
Oh,
that was
yes.
not.
Well, we don't
That's
have
what
to
it
we
takes.
don't
But yeah,
count that part.
right, exactly,
The 10
exactly.
years of labor prior to that doesn't count.
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to be doing a podcast with your daughter. Is that
We
true?
are, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're just developing it now,
Oh
and we
my
started
God.
recording, and we're doing this podcast, which hopefully we'll launch. We're not sure when we're launching, but soon, called "Far from the Tree." And we were fascinated, being she's the fourth generation of our family in our business, in our industry.
Wow. Okay.
So, because both sides, both my mother's side and both my paternal and maternal grandparents were in show business, and I'm
Wow.
the third generation. And we're fascinated by people who go into the family business and want to
Right.
talk to other parent-child, uh, duos who are in either show business or sports or politics
Right.
or industry or finance, whatever, lawyers or we're just fascinated by that dynamic. And so we're talking to. That's the concept of it.
That's so smart. When did your daughter kind of look at your because it really is a family business. I mean, like it really is. I know somebody else has made this point over time, but it really is kind of the same thing as like DeChico and Sons, Grosseteria. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
you're like, right, like it is a family business. But at what point did your daughter kind of look at the family business and go, this is appealing to me. I think I have something to say. Like I'm gonna be a
Yeah,
part of
so
this.
both my kids, Anna, who I'm doing
Oh
this
yeah.
with, is a writer and a
Okay.
television writer. So, but also writes
Oh.
features. But Anna was, I think, in college. She was at UCLA and she was an English
Uh-huh.
major. She was writing for the UCLA newspaper and took a screenwriting class and just got interested in it and thought, well, maybe this is a way that I could express myself. And she, sort of thought, obviously, was interested in the business, but wasn't sure where she fit.
Yeah.
And she thought, well, maybe I'll just apply to film school and see what happens. I think this is correct. And
Hmm.
she happened to apply to USC Film School, which is like one of the best schools, for
Yeah.
the best screenwriting programs. And she got in and was like, oh, I got
Oh,
in. So I guess I'll
huh.
go. And then just kind of fell in love with it and focused in TV writing at USC and then got on a show after college and after, grad school.
Yeah.
And so I think it was while she was at UCLA where it kind of clicked for her that was her
Okay.
way of expressing. But Tess, our younger daughter's an actress in New York and is a writer and filmmaker too. And she's working in both film and television and the theater. And she's doing an amazing play this year, off-Broadway. And
Oh,
so, yeah, so they're both, it's all kind of like, I don't know, it's all been kind of organic.
oh my God, this was such a pleasure. Thank you
Yeah. Oh,
so much
likewise,
for
Sam.
saying yes. Oh my God, I'm going to
Yeah, so I
see
could
you.
talk for hours.
That was Tony Goldwyn, and I had no choice but to look up one thing. Tony spoke of his work with the Innocence Project, and they do incredible work. And I had to check how many people have actually been exonerated with their help. Well, they have done almost 400 DNA exonerations, and over 20 of them were people who were previously sentenced to death. It is truly heroic work. Check them out. And thanks for joining us. I'm Samantha Bee. See you next week for some more choice words. Thank you for listening to Choice Words, which was created by and is hosted by me. The show is produced by Tzvia Baron-Reinstein with editing and additional producing by Josh Richmond. We're distributed by Lemonada Media, and you can find me at RealSamB on X and Instagram. Follow Choice Words wherever you get your podcasts or listen ad-free on Amazon Music with your Prime membership.